Okay, here we go. I'm hitting the open. So
Cool.
3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Carson
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
and Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Hello, man, Fred from the other side. I must have
Yes,
called.
sir. Thank you, sir.
What's that?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I must have called 1,000 times.
Now, all of a sudden, whenever we start the show, your volume is mega low. So that's a cool production issue that we should have figured out beforehand.
Oh, really? Well, I mean, you're loud and clear to me. You want to? I mean, we could edit this out. You want to take time to figure out my level on your end?
I don't understand. Whenever you came in with the music was mega low, and now you're low. And I haven't
Really?
touched anything. Yeah.
Huh? That's weird. Check 1 2 1 2.
And if I go up, like in my headphones, then I get like a weird static.
If you can deal with the static, that might be fine because all levels on my side are okay. So
say something now.
check.
Whoops, I meant now.
Oh, hey now. Okay. Because yeah, like I said, we're recording all the levels on my end, and all levels on my end are fine. So it's really just a matter of what you're comfortable, your comfort zone, and you being able to hear me. Because I'm recording on Zencastr and I'm recording on Adobe Audition, and our levels are pretty equitable.
Stand by.
Okay.
Why are you whispering? I don't understand.
I'm not whispering. I'm talking at
No,
my
I know you're not.
volume.
Well, and like I'm doing like my main up on my headphone thing, and then I'm getting, like I said, the static.
Huh. Check. One. That's probably. Yeah, that's not doing anything, is that?
I'm sorry, I was messing with it. I wouldn't know.
Yeah, let's see here. Actually, you know what? On Zencastr, I'm looking at the levels on Zencastr, and
You're mega low.
well, you're actually low on my end. Here.
Let's stop the Zencastr for a second.
Okay. All right, Zencastr. Oh, okay. Begin download. Yeah, I'm gonna want.
You're back to normal now.
Okay, so it must be a Zencastr issue.
That is the weirdest thing.
Okay. Let's see here. I guess let's just start a new one here. New recording.
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to come out at you all weird right then.
No, that's okay. Okay, I'm gonna invite you again.
I'm already in here.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna.
Well, I think I am. I'm looking at myself.
Okay, I'm recording on my end, and am I super low now?
Say something now.
I just hit record on the Zencastr there.
Yeah, I guess I'll be fine. I'll figure it out.
Okay. Well, it looks like now on my end the levels are more even. So,
Huh?
all right.
Cool.
All right, let's give this a try again. See, and Fred, this is why you need to watch the video, because this is stuff that you're not going to get on the audio podcast.
Us tripping over this shit? No one cares about this.
That's it. You broke up a little bit there.
No, I didn't.
Okay. All right. Let's try this again. Here we go.
If Zencastr is a problem,
That's a problem.
that's a problem because like I said, I didn't think our quality was so through the roof yesterday or last week with the Zencastr.
I think as long as we don't talk over each other, we'll be okay. So let's try this again. 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to The Weigh-In with Mike Carson
What are you cackling at, fatty? Too much pie, that's your problem.
and Fred Slow.
Anybody want a peanut?
On demand 24/7 at weightinradio.com.
Hello, man, Fred from the other side.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I must have called you 1,000 times.
I don't get that reference, so
Don't look now, Fred, but Adele is back to bum everybody out once again.
okay, I do get that reference now. Yeah, I saw on Facebook where everyone in the world listened to the Adele song, and then everyone in the world second guessed every decision they ever made.
Well, I mean that's kind of her shtick, right? She's just I wouldn't say America's biggest buzzkill because she's British, but that's her genre, right?
Girl I went to high school with, who that would have been 15 years ago, saw her at the Walmart this past weekend. I'm gonna say she's joyfully overweight. She's just an overweight girl, and she was walking through the Walmart with earbuds in, listening to Adele's "Hello," and she was tearing up.
How
And
did
I
you know she was listening to Adele's "Hello"?
Well, because when I saw her, I go, "Hey, so and so, what's got you down?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm just listening to Adele's "Hello."
Maybe she was sad that it wasn't a Lionel Richie cover.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's obviously a million different things she could be sad about, but yes, I mean, she was very sad, Mike.
Maybe she was just sad that she ran into you.
Well, which would have been the case in high school, but now that we're adults, it's obviously she should have been excited to see me.
Right, because you're a local celebrity now.
No, I'm just a regular celebrity. That's not even internet celebrity, which is a way bigger deal.
Well, Fred, it's November 1st. The other night was Halloween, and Chelsea and I were very excited to pass out candy for the first year. We went out to Halloween USA, and we bought our hallucinogenics / razor blade candy injection kits and pass them out to the kids.
I only go to the houses that have full-size syringes.
Right, which allegedly, Fred, has been an epidemic since we were kids. We would every year in elementary school, I don't know about you, but we would watch a Halloween safety video about checking every single piece of candy for razor blades and ecstasy. And I don't know where I read it or I saw it somewhere, but I guess there's maybe been 1 to 10 cases at most of actual razor blades and hallucinogenics found in candy.
The two most overhyped things I remember growing up is razor blades and candy and stop, drop, and roll. These are two things I've never used in my entire life, but they were driven home with me.
My question is, with stop, drop, and roll, has anybody actually tested that? Because I feel like you can't really test stop, drop, and roll because nobody's going to actually light themselves on fire to test it. So that's just something that you hope actually works in the moment, but you can't be sure if it does.
Maybe you never watched an episode of The Walking Dead, Mike, but people light themselves on fire all the time for money.
No, I haven't watched an episode of The Walking Dead, but every Monday morning I know something happens because people are either A, pissed about what happened, or B, people spoiling it on Facebook for the folks who have to work on Sunday nights.
If you don't want something spoiled, maybe you shouldn't go to an outlet where there are spoilers.
But yeah, right. But I guess it's so ubiquitous. I guess people can't. Probably what happens is, I don't know about you, Fred, but it's just a habit for me now. If I'm on a computer, it's automatic. I don't even think about it. It's like breathing. I go to Facebook, or if I'm on my phone, I'll just involuntarily click the icon. So probably what happens, that's what happens with the folks who can't watch Walking Dead, and then they get on their Facebook like, crap, I forgot to stay in my bubble.
I have two rules in my life. One, and they're both unspoken, I guess, so I'm going to speak them now for the first time. One, I never turn down a free drink. Mike, if you're going to buy me a drink, I'm going to drink it. Really?
What if you're already like in the bag? That could be dangerous.
I'm not going to break the rule, Mike. There's a credo to my life. And then secondly, I don't have a smart device that doesn't have the Facebook app. I don't have it. It doesn't exist.
Well, usually they come pre what do you call it? Installed on them.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So then, as a Walking Dead fan, you have to make sure you see it on first run, or else who cares?
No, there's no such thing as appointment TV anymore. Like, I'm not going to make time in my schedule to watch something. But what I will do is not crucify anyone else who watches that thing before me and then is passionate enough about said thing to discuss it on like social media outlets. I'm not going to do that.
Really, Fred, you're right. It's actually on the person who's not watching it. It's their responsibility to avoid it. I mean, the entire internet can't change their habits just because one guy had to work his overnight job on Sunday. I mean, if you want to make sure that it's not spoiled, then it's your responsibility to.
It's these millennials, Mike. They want everyone else to change, and that's not going to happen, okay? You can't ask for change and then not be willing to change yourself.
That's right. Everybody should change but me. That's not the way it works, kid.
It's not the way it works.
But so, Fred, in your neighborhood, how's the trick or treating in your neighborhood? I've noticed, and I don't want to be the kids these days are different than when I was a kid guy, but I guess I'm going to have to be because I've noticed a steady decline in trick or treating since I've stopped.
I live in a depressed neighborhood, comparative to what it was 20 years ago when I was growing up, and that just the average family median income is just down, and it's down substantially. The block I live on is very nice, though. I'm very fortunate. I live in an old community, and down 2 houses down from me is 5th and Eaton, and that's an intersection. And this guy has been running a haunted house out of his home for 15 years. And what he does is he temporarily, over the course of like the 2 weeks prior to Halloween, builds like a fake front of the building and puts up it's like a maze, and it's a haunted house, and it gets all the neighborhood kids who need community service hours to graduate high school come, and they're fake ghosts and zombies, and it draws hundreds and hundreds of people, and he takes donations to the local animal shelter. So in my immediate community, it is really great. In my surrounding community, it is down because everyone is poor and suspicious, and they don't let people go to other people's houses.
So that's interesting, Fred, because I would say I live in a working class neighborhood. It's not depressed, but it's not the place that is giving out full size candy bars. But it's a decent working class neighborhood. And I went to one of my neighbors the other day, and I said, "Hey, how's the trick or treating here normally?" And he said, "It's kind of slow, but then later on in the night, kids from less privileged neighborhoods, like you were talking about, they get dropped out by the van full, and they start trick or treating in our neighborhood." Me personally, I have no problem with it, because look, I'm giving away the candy for free anyway. If they live in a bad neighborhood, I understand the parents' point of view, driving a few minutes to a safer neighborhood to go trick or treating without worry of violence or chicanery. But a lot of people have a problem with that, and I just don't understand it. I guess maybe they think that the kids coming from quote unquote worse neighborhoods are going to cause trouble. But to me, hey, you know what? Halloween, it's a rite of passage for kids. And to me, there were 3 days growing up. Of course, there was Christmas, the last day of school, and Halloween. And with kids being such wieners nowadays, I'm just happy to see kids pulling up to my to my front door asking for candy, because if we have a bunch left over, I'm going to eat it all, and I'm going to get diabetes.
Wienery kids come from wienery parents, okay? So like kids aren't taught to be wieners. And I, like we've talked about this before, I have a day job where I work with the community, and I service at or near, 1,500 kids, 2,000 kids annually, right? So in one way or another, I'm providing organized play or a venue or a birthday party, and I help kids celebrate. But what I have absolutely found, specifically, we hosted the Halloween party this weekend at my community center that I MC because I have a little bit of talent at that thing, where these families, because they're growing up in a depressed area and they grow up with the depressed mindset, they're very uneasy around other families. And I don't know the correlation because I'm not a smart enough man, but there's something, in my opinion, to be said about people who do not have like Maslow's hierarchy, like food, shelter, safety. Like they don't have these needs easily met, and therefore they're suspicious of everyone in the community. So what my community has done, and maybe you don't have this where you live, they've invented trunk or treat. Are you familiar with this?
Yep.
So trunk or treat, which is you go to a church community parking lot, and everyone parks their car and puts their tailgate down, and they have just where they hand out candy in a circle so you can keep your eye on everyone and everyone can keep your eye on everyone else. It takes a village idea. These things have become so prominent in the area that traditional trick-or-treating, which involves like going out of your parents' eyesight and egging a house, that has gone to the wayside. That is gone now.
Well, and growing up, one thing that sort of blew my mind in its infancy were people going to the mall to trick or treat. That's but usually that was for like sort of like a rain delay. If it's raining on Halloween, you go to the mall. And one thing that people our age, Fred, like to do is they like to go on long Facebook rants about things that really don't affect them. Like, a lot of people my age this week have done the kids today are such wusses. Trunk or treat, trick or treating. This is wussy stuff. It's Halloween. Or they're like, teenagers coming up to your door for trick or treating. If you're 16, you shouldn't be trick or treating. Like I said, I don't care. People will be like, I refuse. I refuse. If you're older than 15, I'm not giving you any candy. I'm giving it away anyway. So, come and get it.
I agree with what you're saying, but I mean, there is an ordinance. You can't be over 12. I mean, that's the rule.
Actually, I think I think me personally, when the moment I realized I was too old for trick-or-treating was when I got my driver's license. So I think 15 is the ceiling. But if someone's 17, they're coming up to my door, as long as they're not raising normal teenage shenanigans, I'll give them a candy. I mean, I'll give them a look. I'll give them a look and be like, brah, go get yourself a job because you should be working on Halloween night, not trick-or-treating. But I'll still give it to them because, like I said, I want to get rid of the candy because I don't want to be stuck eating it if it's left over.
There are a couple of scenarios, and Halloween is one, where I think it's okay for kids to be kids. So if you want to go out and raise a little havoc and you want to, I don't know, egg a house or do it, fine, man. You get this night. I think on the 4th of July you can throw a firecracker in a garbage can, but I don't have a problem with kids screwing up as long as when they're doing it like accordingly. Like do not cause like actual harm to anyone. But if I have to go and like take egg off my car, that's fine. Like I probably deserve it.
I mean, as long as it doesn't cost me money to fix my property. But the moment I have to run a power washer to get the egg off my house, I'm gonna have a problem with it.
As long as if I get a reason to like shake my fist in the air and yell at those damn kids, then like that's the neighborhood I want to live in because that's the kid I was when I was a kid.
We got to hit a quick break. It's the weigh-in, weighинradio.com, caveradiobroadcasting.com. All right, so you were breaking up semi-regularly on that.
Yeah, I think Zencaster's really fucking us. I think we got to lose it.
Yeah, maybe.
Because you're breaking up right now, even as you're saying that.
Really?
I don't feel like we had any problems when we were just bullshitting before this thing.
Yeah, well, and you know what? If it's AM radio, then, well, like I said, there's a couple of other things, and I'm sorry, I feel like I'm having a hard time focusing today. So hopefully it doesn't.
I need to get a Kleenex. Me too. Hold on.
Okay. Do you want to try this, Fred? Do you want to ditch Zencaster for the rest of this episode and see if it makes a difference?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Goodbye, Zencaster. Leave this page. Okay. Zencaster is gone.
Oh my God, you're like a million times louder now.
Oh, am I?
On my end. I'm telling you who's doing something on my end. I know for certain.
Huh. Okay. Well, then, I guess what we'll do is we'll just kind of keep our eyes open for other things that are similar and see if they work better. Okay, so you want to take us in this segment?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. It is 11:02, or it's 02 now. So we'll aim to break at 15. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I wash myself with a rag on a stick.
Weighинradio.com.
So in hindsight, it was only 2 sick days, but it felt like a whole week.
Well, that's why you have to read your benefits package before you call in. 'Cause that
Somebody
can hurt you.
eventually somebody's going to say something. It's not fair that you get Veterans Day and Martin Luther King Day. It's just not fair.
Well, coming from a white guy who's never been in the service, that's a very predictable thing of you to say, Fred.
Basically stolen valor from like service and race.
Right. That's true. That's true. You're going to end up on YouTube pretty damn quick, and not in the good way.
Well, and we've been saying it for years. I've had a problem with Veterans Day and Martin Luther. No, I haven't. No one should have a problem.
Minorities. Am I right, people?
There are some outlandish claims against holidays, Mike. And November 1st, I think, is a prime example. There are people. The month of October, in my opinion, is the jam month. Okay, I'm from St. Louis. World Series baseball. Cardinals are almost always in the World Series. I love that. I love the holidays. The summer's kind of coming to an end, and my broadcast stuff's picking up. That's when Ambush Soccer starts. So I'm kind of in a cool transitioning phase where I'm reinventing myself. I'm a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, and it happens every year. Okay, Mike?
Well, I think in the Midwest, everyone's favorite month is October because we're, like you said, we're sick of the summer. The leaves are changing color, and it's sort of, if you're not a kid, I've noticed this with people, Fred. When you're a kid, you hate fall because you're going back to school. But when you're an adult, everybody's favorite season is fall because of because it's right there in the middle. It's exciting. It's exciting and new. Nobody ever gets sick of the fall like they get sick of winter and summer.
Well, and sweeps start in like late September. So like you're in Act 2 of all your favorite programs, which, as we all know through theatrics, is when your programs are getting good.
Well,
like, go ahead, Mark.
If it sweeps, then the news is constantly telling you how your child is at risk and how you can keep them safe.
Your child, as of November 1st, Mike, your child is at risk of hearing Christmas music in the Walmart.
That's true. And actually, if it's late August, your kid's in risk of at least seeing Christmas stuff in the Walmart. I don't know about you, but I would say at least from early October, in the seasonal departments, there's about 5 shelves full of Halloween stuff and 1 shelf full of Christmas stuff. And then as it gets later and later, you kind of see the Halloween stuff dwindling and the Christmas stuff pushing its way onto its turf.
My very first job ever was flipping burgers in my uncle's burger place, but my very first job ever not for family was working at a Target. Okay. So I was hired at a Target in high school to work the seasonal department. And in the seasonal department, it's like you just said, it's just stocking shelves, man. It's just putting wreaths on shelves for people to buy. And that should be a rewarding job for $9 an hour. But instead of it being a rewarding $9 an hour job, I have to interact with these 2 types of people. And this was the first time I realized these 2 types of people existed. One, the person who loves Christmas and will buy everything, and the person who hates Christmas more than Hitler.
Well, they hate Christmas more than they hate Hitler, or they hate Christmas more than Hitler hates Christmas?
No, more than they hate Hitler.
And, it's funny, too, because every town has a radio station that plays all Christmas music eventually. And that demonstrates itself because the day it flips, those same people are flame warring each other on the internet about how either it's the greatest thing on earth that said radio station has flipped to all Christmas, or it's the worst thing on earth that said radio station has flipped to all Christmas. And to me, there's an easy solution, Fred. If you hate Christmas music, don't tune to that radio station until you're ready for Christmas music.
It's crazy to me to think that you spend all October getting ready for Halloween. I don't hear anyone bitching and moaning. But then if you even mention Christmas or go shopping one time before December 24th, then you like I said, Hitler himself is not as bad as the person that you are in embracing the sellout of Black Friday.
Right. And to me personally, Fred, I think that the Christmas season, for all intents and purposes, should start the day after Thanksgiving. But look, it's not going to ruin my life if I start seeing the Christmas stuff out there. And I like to, as soon as I see the Christmas stuff out there, I like to poke the bear, so to speak. I love being the guy who posts that Instagram photo on October 12th of the Santa lawn ornaments. Just because I think if I have to pick a team, team pro early Christmas or team anti early Christmas, I find team anti early Christmas a little bit more annoying than team pro Christmas. So I guess I would have to align myself begrudgingly with team pro early Christmas.
I am also team pro early Christmas because I love happiness. But I married a girl who is team anti Christmas.
Uh-oh.
And it's like marrying like a fan of the opposing sports team, Mike. It is not a smart decision, and for 2 straight months out of your life, you live in pure misery. You live in a constant struggle of one-upsmanship and in fear, Mike.
So you're just trying to get into the holiday season, but your significant other won't let you until their predetermined self-imposed deadline.
There, like, several things have to happen before my wife accepts Christmas. My birthday is in December. My birthday has to pass. She says that for a fact.
How early in December is your birthday?
13th. She says there has to be snow on the ground. Well, it doesn't always snow. Like, what am I supposed to do then? Also, she will not buy presents. Period.
At all?
It's not even like a money thing. She just doesn't do it. Like she doesn't know what people like. You don't know your friends and family.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
So,
you don't know what I want. We live together.
How long have you been married?
Fucking 5 years.
So in 5 years, you have not gotten one Christmas present from your wife ever?
And we give gifts, but they're just garbage, man. She's like, here's a Subway gift card, dude.
Wait, so your birthday is December 13th.
Yeah.
You must have been one of those kids that got shafted on Christmas because it's so close to your birthday. You didn't get birthday and Christmas presents. Your parents or whoever probably just shorted you one present on Christmas and gave it to you on your birthday.
Exactly wrong, Mike. So December 13th often ended up being the last day of school before Christmas break.
Okay.
So I would have a birthday party that was also like a kick off to the Christmas break party. So like we would go to like the skating corral or we would go to wherever. And then all my friends and fam would join. And it was like I got like 2 Christmases over the course of like 2 weeks.
So you had the best of both worlds because normally growing up, to have 2 Christmases, your parents would have to be divorced. And this is a terrible thing for me to say, Fred. But my friend Jeff, who lived next door to me growing up, his parents were divorced, and I'm sure it was a terrible thing. But goddamn, he made out like a bandit on Christmas. He would wake up at his mom's house, have a full array of Christmas presents. Then he would go to his dad's house, and he would get a second Christmas. And I'm sure it's terrible, Fred, and this is probably a very insensitive thing for me to say, but if your parents are divorced, once you get past that you get past that sort of initial heartbreak and having your life split in 2 and your family broken, you get 2 Christmases.
Materialistically speaking, yeah, man, that's the best of all worlds. Like emotionally and stability and like understanding love. No, it's not great. It's not. I mean, it's not for that. But yeah, as far as like having a Super Nintendo and a Sega, perfect.
And as a kid, if you had both video game systems, you were a king. I mean, so much so, Fred, that I actually had more friends who would lie about having both video game systems than actually would have them. Like, I would have friends who said, yeah, I've got Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, I have Sega CD, and I'm like, wow, I am coming over your house because I want to have every single video game system option at my disposal. I go over there, they just have a Super Nintendo. Hey, man, where's your Sega CD? Oh, it's broken. It's in the shop.
No, see, we didn't have that. We grew up in a family where we only had one, right? So we had the Super Nintendo. And then what had happened to us, unbeknownst to us, was we became giant fanboys of that just to prove that it was better than having a Sega.
Right.
Although we didn't know. We didn't have a Sega, but we used our only experience of having a Super Nintendo as that being superior to your decision of having a Sega.
You know, that's so right, Fred, because I had a Super Nintendo. Said friend who lived next door to me had a Sega. And it seemed like just about all of our conversations when I was 11 years old was why one video game system was superior. And Fred, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to concede. I think that growing up, having a Sega Genesis was superior to having a Super Nintendo. Sega Genesis was the superior system. Super Nintendo was great. You know, I had my Turtles in Time. I had my Super Mario Kart. But Sega Genesis had the better sports games, and Mortal Kombat actually had blood. And that's the deciding factor.
Well, we always had to get like 2-player games, so we couldn't. So there was no point in us getting like a PlayStation because they're all like role-playing games. They're all like 1-player games.
Right.
We had the Super Nintendo that way, and we had like the tap for like all the neighborhood kids. So we would play Mario Kart for all the hours of the night, and then the next morning we would wake up, bash Sega, play Mario Kart for all hours of the day, and then like try to convince our Sega friends to come over to. And the parties would be like we would have snacks and stuff because like when you have Super Nintendo, you're not just playing Super Nintendo, you're playing the lifestyle.
Right. How many of those debates ended in fist fights between the Super Nintendo and the Sega kids?
Hard zero. They ended in NBA Jam tournaments.
Yeah. That's
yeah. Oh, you think you're better than me? Then watch me because I'm heating up.
But really, Fred, I mean, growing up as a kid with Super Nintendo, and like I said, Super Nintendo brought my brother and I hours and hours of joy and entertainment. Didn't you kind of wish that when Scorpion's harpoon pierced somebody that blood fell out and not sweat? Didn't you kind of feel like, you wish that your Raiden could just rip out somebody's head in spinal column instead of him just electrocuting you to a pile of ash? Didn't that kind of leave you wanting a little bit more?
I can't believe you asked me all these Mortal Kombat questions when you know for a fact I was a Street Fighter guy.
But were you a Street Fighter guy, or did your pro Super Nintendo allegiance force you to be a pro Street Fighter guy because you couldn't admit that Mortal Kombat was better for Sega Genesis than Super Nintendo?
You sound like me talking to my mother-in-law. Are you really a Christian, or is it just where you grew up that made you a Christian?
Really?
I want to know.
Really, Fred? Is kicking the crap out of your a car for the bonus round better than a test your might, Fred? That's only a question you can answer. Who are you trying to convince? Me or yourself?
Yeah, everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
I'm not. You know when you're like you're not sure about yourself, so how can you be sure about anything else? Because that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to throw you in this tailspin, Fred. But honestly, if you would have been honest with yourself as a child, we wouldn't be having this issue right now.
If I'd have been honest with myself as a child, I would have. No, I still would have played a lot of Nintendo. It was just such an easy outlet, man.
If we're being honest with ourselves right now, Fred, we're late for a break, so we've got to hit it. It's the weigh-in.
Hey, my bad. I missed beanbag chairs. The weigh-in.
All right, so it broke up a little bit there, but not as much as it was before. Let's see. I wonder if it's... I have a lot of tabs open for my prep. I wonder if that's a problem, but...
If they're like streaming video or something, but I mean, they're not.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Got a lot of it open too. I got shit in the background going on. But
Yeah.
I mean, if I were to open up my thing, it would be like you're running it, zero process. Like you're fine, is what it would say.
Well, this seems to be kind of a new problem too, right? This wasn't always...
I'm convinced that I'm getting throttled. Like I'm 100% convinced.
what do you mean? Like your bandwidth is being...
Yeah. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, because we fucking stream everything. Like,
well, you know what I'll also start doing too? I'll actually reset my router every time before we start too.
I
Maybe.
yeah, I didn't think to do that.
Okay. All right. Like I said, man, I just feel off today. I don't know about you.
Yeah, no, I had a shit week, man. I was sick all week, and you know, it's like when you sit at home, you go crazy.
Right. So hopefully, hopefully, usually when you listen back, we don't sound too off our game. So hopefully like I said, I knew we'd be off because, like I said, you had a crap week. I had a tough week too. It's not awful. I just don't feel like I'm as with it as I normally am. Okay. All right, here we go. Let's see. It's 19 right now, so we'll make this a shorter segment because the first two went long. So we'll just make this a 10. We'll just do 10 and 10.
Cool.
For the next one. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
Weightinradio.com.
All right, Fred. So you've been ill all week. So you've been sitting at home, at least a little more than normal.
Yeah, well, I'm not an at-home guy. I'm very much out of the house continually, constantly.
Yeah, you and I are much the same. Where if we're relaxing, we feel guilty. We feel like there's something we could be doing, or there's something that we forgot to do.
Yeah, I don't know if it's guilt, but it's boredom. Like I never watch the same movie twice. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not that guy.
Me either. Yeah, and I can't really understand how people can watch the same movie over and over and over. I mean, I'll watch a movie once, and I always say the same thing. I liked it, but I probably won't watch it again.
Yeah, we're on the same page. Well, and it's not just that. Like, hey, Netflix has got Friends. I'm so no, I'm not excited about that. I didn't watch Friends when it was out the first time, and I'm sure as F not going to watch it 10 years later.
So you were at home more so than normal this week.
Yeah.
How many Hotline Bling parody videos did you watch?
Not enough. And I mean, I watched thousands, obviously, but I didn't watch enough of them because they're only 6 seconds, and I can get a lot of them in, man. I can get a lot of them in.
Just line them up. Drake. I did not know this, Fred, but Drake is one of how many? One of 4 acts who have had 100 songs on the Billboard Hot 100 list.
I didn't know that.
But he's never had a #1 single.
What?
Can you guess the other 3 acts that have had 100 #1s on the Billboard Hot 100, by the way? We're playing a little morning radio game.
Yeah, I can do that. Nicki Minaj.
Nope.
Okay. The Black Eyed Peas.
Nope.
Damn it. Oasis.
No. And also, Fred, this might come as a surprise. Wham is also not on this list.
Culture Club.
Nope. Didn't Boy George just come out and say he slept with somebody this week?
I could Google that while you're telling me the other 3 on the list.
Yeah, go ahead and Google this. And I would say 1 out of the 2 of the 3 are surprises. Of course, Elvis Presley, he's had 108. That's predictable.
Yeah, he was good.
Lil Wayne had 127, which I guess if Drake is on there, that's not much of a surprise. But if you think of all the other acts throughout history, you wouldn't think Lil Wayne has beat them out. And with 207, the Glee cast.
No, I wouldn't have came up with that one.
Yeah. So I mean, you would think that the Beatles would be on that list, but they're only at 71. But then again, of course, there's not as many outlets, and there weren't as many outlets and metrics as there are now.
I could believe that about Glee. Do you remember when they single-handedly brought back "Don't Stop Believin'"?
Yeah, that's true. And if you think about it, yeah, because Glee, every week they would cover some song, and it would become a huge phenomenon. And it's the Hot 100, so I believe the Hot 100 is just songs that kind of shoot up the charts.
Well, in Glee at the time, they had modern days Amy Schumer. They had Jane Lynch,
right?
Which is, if you were to put Amy Schumer on Glee now, you would have 415 #1 hits.
But along that line of thinking, I'm surprised that American Idol and The Voice aren't up there yet either.
I don't necessarily understand how that works, but I don't think their songs get released the same way because I think they're owned differently.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't know. By the way, Boy George claimed he slept with Prince.
Oh, okay, that's right. Which, to be honest with you, Fred, when I found out Prince was straight, I was surprised. So gay rumors about Prince don't shock me at all.
In this industry, this entertainment industry that we claim we work in, there are a lot of like really artistic people, and they are by far the weirdest people.
Right. And they probably buck societal norms. So they probably swing both ways just because they're like, hey, man, love is love. It knows no gender.
Yeah, for sure. They'll put on the Boy George and Prince both put on like full-fledged active camo outfits to go deer hunting, but instead shot like a porno.
Right. Instead of shooting deer, they just put their tongues in each other's mouths.
Which, by the way, I'm cool with. Let's not be weird. I'll make fun of it because I appreciate it.
Yeah. Look, as long as it's not my mouth, I don't care. But Fred, even though Drake has had 100 songs on the Hot 100, or the Billboard Hot 100, and of course, it's not all Drake songs. It's songs that he may have rapped a verse on. He has never had a #1 hit. And with Hotline Bling, he would have had a #1 hit because, of course, the video went so viral. But he released it with Apple Music, and Apple Music does not report videos as to the Billboard reporting agency.
Sure.
So if all those video views were on YouTube, he would have easily had a #1 hit. But since Apple doesn't report to Billboard, he missed out on his first career #1 hit with Hotline Bling. So
classic YouTube, right? Yeah, you remember, Mike, like newspapers were going to kill books and radio was going to kill newspapers and TV was going to kill radio and YouTube's going to kill the top whatever. You have to change with the times, okay? I don't read my comic strips in a newspaper anymore. I read them on my web browser.
Well, and I would think in this day and age, Billboard probably isn't as relevant as the iTunes charts. I would think that if I'm an artist, I'd rather have a #1 hit on iTunes than I would on Billboard, because if you have a #1 hit on iTunes, that means people are buying your music more than anyone else's music.
Does Billboard have an app?
I don't believe so.
They don't have an app called iTunes?
I do not believe so, no.
If you have an app called iTunes, then I care because that's what I use.
Yeah, so I don't know if I'm Drake, I'm not too bummed out about this. I mean, it'd be cool to say that you had a #1 Billboard hit, but if you're on iTunes, you're like, hey, I'm getting paid.
I agree. I'm thinking like off the top of my head, like here's a #1 Billboard song that you may not know, the Macarena. Where's that now? That's nowhere.
That's sort of like the same principle, Fred, as saying that, hey, this new year is going to be my year. I mean, 2010 was Gautier's year. 2011, 12, 13, and 14, and 15 hasn't been too great for Gautier. So, having a #1 hit in a certain year is great for the time, but it doesn't really ensure long-term success.
Not now, but closer to the new year, we should figure out the definition of my year.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like it's the same people who post those memes that say a real woman isn't going to find a rich man. A real woman's going to be through the struggle and build an empire together.
Another one I would like to find the definition to: good money. I've heard this phrase a lot. I don't even know what it means.
Actually, there was a study, Fred, that actually found out what "quote unquote" good money is, and don't ask me who did it. But I guess the magic number for having enough money and living comfortably is $70,000. Happiness correlates with the amount of goes up with the amount of money you make, up to $70,000. Once you're at $70,000, your happiness doesn't go up or down if you make more. It goes down if you make less than $70,000. But if you make more than $70,000, your happiness level doesn't necessarily go up.
Well, then there is no doubt in my mind that in 1994, Los Del Rio had their year when they were making good money.
That's true. I guess it's your year if you're making more than $70,000 a year. So
You get a many years in a row.
right, yeah. If you're an engineer or a doctor or whatever, but
With me and my wife's combined salary, we've been having good years the whole time we've been together, basically. But
well, look at you.
someone are hold on, that's combined. Let's be realistic here, Mike.
Yeah. Well, look, Fred, we all can't have great government jobs where we're ahead of the public pool. Okay.
Also, I own my own $5,000 truck, which is pretty impressive at this 30-year-old point in my life.
I just bought my mom's minivan from her for $500.
You don't have kids.
I like a minivan though.
For what?
Number one, I like to be up high, and I can't afford a $5,000 truck, Fred. And number two, I like the traction in the winter. Driving in the winter with my old Kia was a white knuckle experience for 3 months out of the year.
$5,000 is not a lot of money, period, for a vehicle.
That's true, but it's a lot more than $500.
Did you see? I know we're about to go to break because we got to talk about Star Wars. Did you see this video that was going around, or this photo on Facebook where a guy had all of the video game consoles, and he had them all? You didn't see it, so he had like a shelf. I'll put it on the website. He had like a shelf, and it had like all consoles that were ever created, and then he had like the smallest ass TV above it. I thought like yeah, that's pretty sick, dude. Like you got, but you're really rocking it on that 19-inch
right
cathode ray rear projection. Figure it out.
That's like what, being house rich and cash poor.
Well, yeah, you can do, if everything is in your mama's name, like you, Mike, who buys their van from their mom, then no, you don't have to have a lot of money. You can just have a lot of support.
Look, Fred, I do the best with what I have. And
yes, hard yes.
yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? I mean, we pay our notes every month. We have a little bit left over because you know what? I will lowball my mom on her minivan. That's what I do to support myself.
Is note cultural where you live? Because there's only certain people that say note where I live.
I'm the only one I know who says note.
In the circles I run in, no one says note. But I've heard people talk, like I've had jobs where it's like, oh, I ain't trying to get that note.
Yeah,
you be able to drive to work because you might have to get a note.
Yeah, I like to say car note. I like to say house note, because I try to de-honky myself, Fred. You know, odds are against me to begin with. So anytime I can de-honky myself, I take the opportunity.
I agree that you right now are as cool as you're ever going to be, and your minivan is really just putting an exclamation point on that.
It's the weigh-in, weighинradio.com. All right, that was fun. Okay. Do you want to try to get to your condom story here?
Let's do Star Wars first.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2. What's that?
Zamiria.
I'll bring it in. I think you brought it in last time. So what?
I thought you did.
Oh, all right. Well, then you go ahead and bring it in then. It's 4. We'll go to 42. So go ahead. This will be you. 3, 1.
Now, back to the weigh-in.
I've been on the radio quite a bit, but I want to do it like as a part-time thing. Not to make money, but because I love hearing myself on the radio.
WeighInRadio.com.
Dun, 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 dun.
Should we make this a SoundCloud series, by the way? Mike, the Star Wars Virgin.
What is that? I don't know what SoundCloud that is. What is that?
Well, I was figuring just maybe put these little segments on SoundCloud for people to, because, you know, Fred, when you tell somebody that you're 31 years old and you've never watched the full Star Wars, it gets a strong reaction. It really does.
Yeah, I remember. I was here. I gave you a strong reaction.
And that's the reaction I get from everyone. People have stopped talking to me. I have lost potential friendships, job opportunities, because As soon as my dark secret comes out, people feel like there's something wrong with me, or they feel self-conscious, like I haven't watched Star Wars and I think that I'm better than them, which I feel it puts me at a disadvantage. I think it's the opposite.
I disagree completely with everything you're saying. Me and you grew up in different parts of the country. We did not have any sort of shared interactions, but we just spent 18 straight minutes talking about Super Nintendo because we had the same childhood, Mike, except you were not blessed with Star Wars like I was.
And I wish that I could say that I was doing something better. Like, I wish I could say, oh, I never watched Star Wars because I was too busy getting laid, which isn't the case. I've got the worst of both worlds, Fred. I never saw Star Wars, and I wasn't getting laid in high school.
No, well, and there's not like a direct correlation to the amount of laid you get. Well, I bet there is, actually. I think if you watch a lot of Star Wars, then you're probably not getting laid a ton. But if you just watch Star Wars, I don't think it has any sort of effect on your median laidness.
No, but like I said, I'm just saying, I wasn't doing anything better with my time as a child. I was just avoiding Star Wars. That's all.
So in between group Facebook messages, you and Chelsea sat down and watched the original Star Wars, the 1976 or 8, I'm not sure, Star Wars Episode 6, A New Hope.
Yeah, we started with A New Hope because I actually went to a video store for the first time in years. And you can now rent videos for like $1 now, Fred. I don't know how this particular chain stays in business, but they did. And The Phantom Menace was out. So I said, okay, this makes my decision for me. We're going to start with A New Hope.
And there's no way The Phantom Menace, by the way, was on rental. It just had not been returned.
It's been gone since it was a new release.
So okay, so you went to the dollar video store and got instead of spending $2 on your Amazon account, you went to you got out of your home, took your minivan down to the video store and got the movie, and now you and Chelsea from Southgate are set.
Yeah, we watched it, and it was okay. It didn't grab me as expected, but I watched it. Now, the one thing I did like about it, Fred, was that it sets the storyline up for you in text to begin with, so you don't have to sit there and pay attention for 15 minutes. It's all right there, and I get the sneaking suspicion it was one of those digital remasters, because like Jabba the Hutt, he looked a lot more digital than the rest of the special effects.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, because Lucas, for like George Lucas, the everything of Star Wars, he made the movie in the late 70s and then was able to milk that cash cow until about the mid 90s. So
right.
He was re-releasing or remastering or selling more toys. He sold a lot of toys.
Right. Didn't they come up with a deal where he pretty much gave them the movie and said, look, you could have this movie. I want the merchandising rights, and the studio was like, okay, sucker. And it turns out that they were the suckers.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. And this number might not be exact, but he paid them to take it.
Wow.
So they were like, we'll give you $300,000 or whatever for this movie. He's like, I tell you what, I'll only take 150 and you can have the movie. And they were like, yeah, this is the biggest thing since the Hotline Bling, which wasn't out yet. But
here's my question though, Fred. And people get very defensive when you say that you're not a big fan of the Star Wars series, because I think they feel like it's you personally attacking them. I know the problem is with me. I know I'm in the minority here. But my question is, if people who are huge Star Wars fans, if they saw it for the first time as adults, would they love it as much as they did when they watched it as kids? Because for me, like, I watched the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I loved The Secret of the Ooze when I was a kid. I watched it again as a 23-year-old and said, you know what? I'm enjoying this because I remember how much I liked it as a kid, but I probably wouldn't be as into it if I saw it for the first time as an adult.
I know we're not going down that review path yet, but the first one is so superior to The Secret of the Ooze. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it is a dark, it is gritty, it is smart, it if you go back and watch it now as an adult, and you're like, the Dark Knight is basically made off of this movie. That's how good it is.
Speaking of things that are far superior, I've been telling everyone about this experiment, and the general consensus of Star Wars fans is that the next one I'm going to watch, Return of the Jedi, is the best one in the franchise.
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, Empire Strikes Back is next?
Yeah, and that is undoubtedly the best one in the franchise, according to those who have a vested interest.
Okay. The other thing that I was wondering when I was watching it, I knew who all the characters were through cultural osmosis. The last episode, you were kind of quizzing me on some basic Star Wars facts, and I knew it just because it's all over the place. But I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, I know that's 3CPO. I know that's R2-D2, which, by the way, C-3PO is such a wiener. I hope he gets offed.
Yeah, he's awful. And spoiler, he's going to make it. But he is the comic relief that is needed, specifically in the first three movies, because there's a pretty serious tone to these films. I mean, there are great odds to overcome, and he brings a release that the audience needs to know they're enjoying a film and not surviving it.
Right. So I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, if I'm watching this for the first time, do I know that's R2-D2? Do I know that's 3CPO? Do I know that that's Han Solo? And so that's kind of something I keep in the back of my mind. But my question, Fred, is, of course, the whole crux of the movie is that it's the Empire versus the Rebel Alliance. I'm guessing that the Empire is the government, and the Rebel Alliance is the citizens rising up. Princess Leia, she's a princess of what? What country is she princess of? Or is she just princess of the Rebel Alliance itself, which isn't a country, so to speak?
She is the princess of Alderaan, which is the planet that is later blown up by the Death Star. Or maybe it was in the first one.
It was in the first one, yeah.
So her planet, that she was the princess of Krypton.
So everyone she knows and loves is dead.
No.
Well, I know her and Han Solo kind of get together, but that's not till later.
You didn't know him at the time, though, Mike. That's the whole point. Right.
So at the time, everyone she knows and loves is dead.
Yeah, there's a brief moment when everything she's ever experienced and everyone she's ever interacted with were killed right in front of her. Yes.
She seems to take that pretty well. I mean, she seems kind of unfazed by it in the movie. I mean, of course she's out for revenge, but she doesn't seem to display the same emotions that I would if everyone I knew and loved on my planet was blown up.
Yeah, I hear you. But it might be one of those things where you can't really comprehend what it would be like if your entire planet was like, how do you
maybe she's blocked it out. Just in order to function, she's blocked it out. I don't know.
It's not at this point, but it could be revealed to you later that she actually is kind of Jedi. She's got the Force in her. So maybe she was able to overcome, like, through the guidance of
maybe
the Force power that is.
Right.
So the characters are laid out. You're through Act 1. You're into Act 2. They're on the Death Star. They're saving the princess. The whole thing's going down. Where are you at emotionally on this ride?
Like I said, I mean, I watched the whole thing, and I made an effort, Fred. Normally when I'm watching TV, I have my laptop and my phone in front of me, but I put those all away because I really wanted to give this a full shot. And like I said, I found it a decent way to pass an hour and a half. But I'm not, I'm not fanboying just yet.
What was your favorite part of the Star Wars, the original?
My favorite part is when Han Solo, they're in that little control room on. Is it the Death Star where they're
yes.
rescuing Leia? My favorite part is where Han Solo he takes out the stormtroopers, and there's a guy in communications. He's like, "What's going on there?" And Han Solo says, "Everything's all right. How are you?" I thought that was really funny. I don't know why. That was my favorite part of the movie. It gave me a good laugh.
He was known for ad-libbing. I don't want to correct you, but I'm going to correct you.
Please.
Your actual favorite part of the movie, and you didn't realize it, was the score prepared by John Williams.
Oh,
The music in Star Wars is better than actual Star Wars.
You know, my good friend Rich Luzensky from Cinema Serenade, 2 to 4 on WXOU every Wednesday, would agree. He's a big John. You said that was a John Williams score?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did he also score the Superman theme song? Because they sound very similar to me.
I do not know, but I can find out.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll have to. That'll be our cliffhanger for next week, Fred, because we're all out of time.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess next week. Next week, stay off. Don't Google it. Don't Wikipedia it. We'll tell you on next week's episode if John Williams scored both the Superman and the Star Wars movies. I almost said the Cave Radio Broadcasting, WayInRadio.com. Bye. I almost said peoplehatemypodcast.com. That would not be accurate. Okay. All right. Yeah. Fun show. Like I said, I felt a little off my game, but I think we made it through.
Star Wars, Jaws, E.T., Indiana Jones, Close Encounters, Super